some of those values got carried over to your adulthood?
They got carried through in every moment of my adulthood, every moment of my childhood, every moment of my teenagehood.
Is that just a general term, values, or can you like enumerate them?
I can enumerate them.
What are those?
I loved two things. I love to work. I love to read books. I love knowledge. And I loved working.
Can I ask you for one favor?
Uh-huh.
Can you speak up and project a little bit better?
Yeah. That I loved work.
There you go.
And I loved not only work, but I loved reading and gaining knowledge. Gaining knowledge and working, they went together like this, like a steeple. And the steeple was in my life. I had a steeple in my life, and I always have had. So I was steeples ahead of this monster that was raising us.
Did anybody ever notice your hard work and your intelligence, or
No.
they just belittled it?
No, they did not. Not during the hellhole that we were in.
Did you say that the first person that really showed you kind of any acknowledgement was the teacher that gave you books to read?
Uh-huh.
And did she say you're a smart boy or anything?
No. She said, you can sit here with me and read. So she was a reader too.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So she would read and I would read.
And there was no readers in your household?
I would not go outside and play with the boys. Who can throw the football the furthest? Who cared? I wanted to know more about life, about being alive, and about being myself, and about being honest with myself and honest with other people.
Do you remember what were some of the books that sparked up your curiosity, or that really little fire in your mind about a world that you didn't see with your eyes but you knew was out there? Like, I think you mentioned one time you read a book about the history about a conquistador that had been in the area where you grew up, or something like that.
I knew that DeSoto had been through there. I read the books they gave me about the history of this area. The history of this area. Hernan DeSoto came through there in 1500 and something, and he died on the Mississippi River about 3 miles from where we lived. And I used to, when I would go out into the forest at night, I would think to myself, DeSoto, you and I know this place. Nobody else knows it exists.
How old were you?
8.
8 years old, and in your mind you were speaking with somebody from hundreds of years before. That's the beautiful thing about literature, is that you could talk to dead people, or they could talk to you. Intelligence beyond your physical limitations.
Yeah.
That's why you need to document your story.
I want to speak it, and I want to demonstrate it. I want to put it on a video. And I tell you, so what I started out to say in the beginning of all this, I went from being 5 or 6 in the bayous of Arkansas to being on center stage in Hollywood, California on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. delivering to a gang of 75 artists, working artists, 30 minutes of my life. And when I finished, people were weeping in the audience. And when I went off stage, down front, talking to people, a guy came over and shook my hand and said, "I like your acting."
He didn't know how real it was.
He thought it was acting. So he went, and so a friend of mine who worked on a show in Hollywood came over and said, "Carter, who was that? What did he say?" I said, "Who was what?" He said, "The guy who just taught you." And I said, "Oh." I said, he said, "I like your acting." God damn, wonderful. I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "This guy is one of the big guys who comes and looks for audiences, looks for people." So without thinking, I'm already outclassing the people who do acting every day.
Yeah.
And the person who ran the place, she said, "Thank you for coming here and showing us what acting is really like."
On your first try, almost. and you did the same thing to the engineers. Was it Lockheed or where was it? Rockwell. With a high school degree, not even a college degree.
6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. That was it. So this hits me right now. This is what really bears really strong in my mind right now, is that I have a mind that no one told me about. I didn't know that minds were different until recently. In recent years, minds are different. Mine is a really inspirational mind, and I never have been able to go use it and live it and create on the magnificent scale that I know I'm capable of, like going to Hollywood, like being on stage, like knocking everybody over.
But considering where you started from and where most people where you started from ended up, don't you feel that you have been a success? I feel that you're a success. You're an independent business owner that does art. Like you said, you created this life yourself.
I did.
And at one point you were in a jet over Japan. So you know, from that little bayou, you've seen the world. So I would say you've been successful. So not only were you born blessed with a great mind, but you actually leveraged it.
I did, but see, my problem is this, that I have a good mind, and now that I know that I have a good mind, I'm ready to use it, except I'm out of time.
That's what they said, that by the time you realize how precious life is, it's already almost over.
I'm out of time.
Wow. That's a scary realization.
So I live inside, totally. My kids, my own kids don't even know who I am. They don't know who I am. And neither did the people I work with. They have no idea. These people, everyone that I know in life, tell me how to use a crosswalk to get across the street so I don't hurt myself.
Have you ever written any poetry or drawn something yourself? Because
it's a very good idea. I've seen several movies lately where a person is raised in an environment like that, and they grew up and they saw a poetic world, and they wrote about it, and it made a great movie. So this is something else. I don't know if this will make a good movie or not, but I could talk to someone. I could talk to someone and have them write a movie. It's not about me with a capital M, little me. No, that's not what I mean. About life.
yes.
This was a part of life that I lived,
Yeah.
and that my brother and my sister lived, and they both died in their early 70s because they believed the horseshit they were taught. You're nothing. And I was different. I was something, and I knew I was something.
Where were you in Florida, inside of the NASA? What was it?
I was at the naval at the center,
You were in the Apollo
launch,
something.
Yeah, I was at the launch center there.
And see, your brother never went there. He never went to Japan. He never flew in a jet fighter. He never came to California, opened up a business, and
No, he died
And he never met his son from New York, right? Remember you met his son? I think you're right. The story is not about you particularly. It's how you could be born in the bayou and through reading books open your mind up to a new world of values and then go and pursue that adventure even if the world around you is telling you that you ain't shit. Like your stepmother was trying to kill your spirit and you were able to keep on going. And I remember I don't know how, but that last time we talked, you had a really beautiful thing to say about your mother.
Oh yeah, my mother was everything to me.
But you only knew her till you were 5.
That's enough time to see what a grand woman she was. Because she saw me. I tell people here sometimes when I'm working with them. I said, well, they look at my photos and I said, well, you know, my mother, and I have a photo of a knight and a princess giving the knight the sword across his shoulder to enlighten him that he's a prince. And I said, my mother taught me that I was a prince in this life. She did. And I fully believed her. And I fully know.
And you never forgot it.
I never forgot a minute of it. Not 1 second of it. And I also know that I was trained to be a prince. And if I had to, I could be king. If it was necessary.
Yeah.
I had that kind of confidence from my mother.
From her love.
From her love. So deeply inside of me. So I never felt weak enough to accept the awful stories that was unfolding in front of me.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And I have lived with that. And
is there any chance that she ever got a glimpse of you in your adolescence or your adulthood? Yeah? Your mother. Because you must have been a strapping boy at 16. What happened? She saw you, or?
Oh yeah, she did.
And you talked to her?
I talked to her when I was 9 for like 3 months. And then we were back to the bayou again. And then I saw her again when I was 21. And I went to her house in St. Louis. But see, my mother